2, 1. So welcome everybody to Monday, 4 o'clock. It's a little dark here in New York, so I've got the lights on. But I invite you all to come and rest on your back to begin with and get comfortable.
Need to see me, Anastasia?
Yeah, I can't see you when you're on the floor, but that's okay. You're going to get up. Don't worry about changing anything. Just you're resting on your back to begin with, just to, you know, take a moment to take a load off your feet, a load off your pelvis, and anything else you need to unload. Unload your thoughts of the day, let it all go. Allow yourself to arrive on your back right now. It's the afternoon here, but it might not be the afternoon where you are. So just resting on your back to begin with, have your chair handy, and we'll go to that in a moment, but notice how you meet the floor right now. How does the contact of your back surface with the ground tell you a little about how, well, I don't want to say relax is a funny word, but you know, just the idea of being able to let go of the tension of holding yourself up. The muscles of our back hold us up. Now those muscles get to be supported by the ground, whether you have your legs long or whether you have your legs bent and standing. Either way, you're just resting, allowing yourself to feel the ground supporting you. And notice your breathing. Where is the breath easily moving you right now? And when you breathe in, where do you feel the movement starts? Is it in your chest or in your pelvis? Or, sorry, pelvis. Is it in your belly, your back, your sides? Wherever you notice it. It has to do with the availability of the muscles to lengthen in order to create the space to let the air come in. And then conversely, notice when you breathe out, where you sense the easy exhalation and where you shrink somehow away from that full volume you had with the inhalation. And now please bring your attention to your whole back, whatever parts of your back you feel on the ground, you feel those parts. And if your legs are bent, then you'll feel maybe your lower back is on the floor. But if your legs could go long, if they're up, it's okay. Just lengthen them for a minute just to sense the curve at your lower back. Most of us have a curve in that area at the moment. And now I invite everyone to slowly bend one leg and then the other and bring your legs to standing. Just bend your knee. Notice which leg you bent first and stand your feet and allow your feet to remain standing now and feel how that alters the contact of your back with the floor and maybe even alters the availability of your whole trunk in terms of inhale and exhale, the availability of movement in your trunk, front, side, back, forward, up and down. And now simply pick up one foot, just an inch off the ground, just to feel how it is to pick up one foot a little bit and then put it down. And notice when it lands, how it rests on the ground and how it will increase its pressure when you lift the other foot now. As you check the other foot lifting, notice that the foot that stays on the ground presses a little, and then notice how the other foot arrives back to the floor. So in this way, you're getting more intimately connected or sensing the soles of your feet. As if you are walking, you can alternate from one to the other. Marsha, you can't hear me? Hang on.
No, Vicky says she's trying to get into the room.
Oh.
Texted me.
I don't know what's happening. I don't see her in the room.
Okay, I'll just.
I don't know. Everyone else got in, so I don't know what to say. Maybe I don't know how to email her right now, but in any case, rest now and lengthen your legs if you want, or just take a moment. You can rest with your legs up if you like, but just notice how your back, after doing that little excursion, did anything change? Anything in your back, anything in your breathing? And now, notice how your right and left shoulder rest on the floor. And also the placement of your head in relation to your shoulders? Is your right ear closer to your right shoulder or your left ear closer to your left shoulder? Do you have some bias that you notice about the contact of your skull relative to the contact of your shoulders? And very gently, without force, without needing to do anything big, just slowly roll your head a little bit to one side, just a little bit. And notice the ease of motion and how much of your neck you feel gets involved, whether your eyes are moving, if you could let go of any tension in your jaw. And then roll your head very gently to the other side and compare and contrast the differences. Welcome, Victoria. We're resting on our back before we go to a chair. So everyone's about to get up and go to the chair. So why don't you take a moment, Victoria, to rest on your back, feel your contact with the floor, while everybody else, please bend your knees one at a time. Did you lift the same leg first? Most of you did. There's a clue in that, but we'll talk about that another time. Maybe check the weight of your legs one more time. Just sense, how is it to pick up the right foot? How does the left foot support that? And then how is it to pick up the left foot? And then when you're ready, notice which way you're going to roll to the side and come up to sitting in your chair. Some roll to the right, some roll to the left. Just notice which way you go, and then come to your chair or stool, whatever you're going to sit on, and organize yourself to sit comfortably, not at the back of your chair, but rather a little in the front of your chair. So you're not really leaning on the backrest. You're leaning on the front. Well, you're actually sitting on your pelvis very clearly. And I don't need to see all of you. You can be wherever you need to be. If you don't want to be seen, you can turn off your video. If you want to be seen, I can follow you. It's up to you. But right now, sitting forward in your chair, you don't want to be sitting so far forward that it's scary. You want to sit just at a place where you feel it's appropriate for you to be balanced and at your chair. And nicely, many people have their hands resting on their thighs. You can do that. Just don't have your elbows stretched. Let your elbows be easy. Let them be soft, easy. And if you feel like, we're going to do things with our hands in a minute, but right now, just pay attention to how you're sitting. What comes to your attention? You don't need to see me. You're just looking ahead. Well, actually, where are you looking? What are you seeing? Where is your horizon? What's your, yeah, you might not have a horizon. You have a room. So most of you are indoors, but just where do you notice you're looking? And now as you're sitting there, noticing the way you're looking, think about your head and your spine, and through your spine and your chest into your pelvis. Where is your head relative to your spine and your pelvis? Is it in front of your spine? Is it on top of your spine? Is it behind your spine? It's a strange question to ask. Of course, it's your head connected to your spine. But, you know, you could think of your head as one sphere, one round object. You could think of your chest as another round object. And you could think of your pelvis as yet another round object. How do those three round objects relate to each other? And how are you breathing as you sit in your chair? Are you able to breathe easily into your belly, into your back, into your sides? Where do you notice your breath is easy? Okay, and now please very slowly start rolling your pelvis. Rolling, because you're sitting on two bones, you're sitting on your sits bones. Roll your pelvis just a little bit and notice which way do you roll easily. Do you roll it backward? Do you roll it right and left? Some are going right, left. Some are going backward or forward. Don't worry, we're going to do all these things, but just notice which way do you gravitate to first. Do you want to roll backward? or do you want to roll forward? Do you want to roll to the left or do you want to roll to the right? Now I'm going to invite you to do even less, do half that much. If you do just a little bit, which direction invites you? Which direction feels easy? And if you can invite yourself to be more quiet with yourself and just go internal a little bit. Just imagine you could be inside your pelvis, sensing the weight on the right sits bone and the left sits bone. And now expand your attention and notice your feet. Where have you put your feet? Don't look down at them. You'll feel them. They're on the ground. But just notice your feet. And as now, I'm going to ask you to press a little into your feet and roll a little bit backwards on those sits bones. Just a little bit, so that you engage with your feet, pressing a little into the floor to roll your pelvis a little back. And it will also make a movement happen in your spine. What movement do you feel happens in your spine when you roll back a little bit? Do you feel your lower back rounding a little bit? And if that happens, what does your head do? Do you feel it all the way up to your head? Do you allow your head to change its position? So why don't you add looking down a little? As you roll your pelvis back, you engage with your feet a little bit. And now notice what you do with your breath when you do that. Can you go slowly enough to begin the movement as you begin to exhale? How complete an image of this action can you create? That you exhale, you let your chin come down a little, you look down a little bit with your eyes, your lower back rounds. Of course, all of this is only if you're comfortable. If it's not comfortable, don't do it. All right, and now let all that go. And if you're sitting in a chair with a back, you can sit back in your chair. Or if you like, I invite you to stand up and walk. If you want to walk a little bit, that's a good idea too. You can take a walk as a rest. Or you can just rest back in your chair, or you could rest on the floor. All of this is possible. Any choice you want of those options is good. And when you're ready, come on back to the chair. Again, or the stool, and sit again in that. Why am I asking you to sit forward like that? Because it's an active sitting. You can't really collapse when you're sitting forward. And if you're on a stool, you can't collapse because you'll fall off. So there you're in an active sitting position. Now, some of you are pianists, you play the piano. You know that you can't sit all the way back in the chair and be engaged with your hands. So this is an active sitting position. We'll just think about it like that. And you did the movement of rolling backward. Is there any greater clarity now about where you are sitting on your sits bones? Our sits bones are not points, they're actually curved. So the movement you first did was rolling back off the highest point you'd be starting from. Now I'm going to invite you to roll a little bit forward. How do you roll forward? What do you do with the engagement of your legs if you're going forward? You can't push on your feet now. Go slowly and feel what part of your back do you engage in order to roll forward? And is that the only place you could engage? That's an interesting question, how you go forward on the sits bones. Is your head going up in the direction of the sky when you do that? Or are you leaning forward? There's two different ways to do it. What if everyone just try leaning forward, like you're gonna look down at the ground, like you're like a stick. You're moving from your pelvis like a stick. So there you don't have to do so much work with the muscles of your back. You have to stop yourself from falling by your feet taking weight. So that's one way to go forward. True. Now, what if you didn't lean forward and you just did whatever you can to get taller? How will you get taller? What will you do with your back? How do you organize yourself to get tall? Are you holding your breath to get tall? Can you breathe out and still get tall? And please don't be serious. Please smile, take it easy. It's an idea. It's an invitation. Yeah. All right, now pause. Now I'm going to ask you to put your two hands on top of your head. Well, how easy was that? Okay, bring them down again. So you had to do something to bring your hands on top of your head. So find which pathway of moving your hands through space makes it easier for you to bring your hands on top of your head. Do you want to go left and right? Do you want to bring your hands to the front? Well, try different ways. Explore. What makes it easier to, oh, one and then the other. That's interesting. Are you holding your breath to move your arms? Which arm goes up more easily, the right one or the left one? Good. Now you choose the easiest. Now rest a moment, just rest a moment before we do it again. And now you're going to just choose the easiest pathway that you discovered for now to put both hands on top of your head. You can interlace your fingers. You could put one hand on top of the other. It doesn't matter. Just put your hands on the top of your head, wherever you get to be on the top of your head. Notice your breathing, and now try to get tall. What does that mean? Don't struggle with yourself and don't do 100%. Just do what's easy. And it's all relative. What do your feet do when you try to get tall? And where do you go on your pelvis? Which part of your sits bones presses? All right, bring your arms down. It's not so easy, but we'll see if that gets easier from what we'll do. Okay, now let's just combine the two movements. Rest your hands on your legs anywhere you want. And can you rock your pelvis now a little bit forward and a little bit backward? So you're doing one and the other, alternating. And you don't want to rock so far that you end up on the back of the chair. It's just a movement initiated from your pelvis. Where can you let go of unnecessary tension, unnecessary work? I'll show you where it could be. Try this. Bring your legs together. Bring your legs completely together. Okay, now try that movement and feel how easy is it? Well, one direction's easy and one's impossible, right? It's really hard to come forward. Or maybe it's easier for you. I don't know. Now take your legs really wide apart. I mean, wider than you started with. And see what's easier now. Is it easier to go forward or backward or both? So you're trying to do this without leaning forward and back, Vicky. Try to just stay tall as you do it. That's okay. You're doing okay. How do you do it? What does your pelvis do when your legs are wide? Now find the place in between. Not too close, not too far. The place that makes it the easiest for you to balance your legs, use your legs as you need and your feet, and get taller when you roll forward and get shorter when you roll backward. I mean, you get shorter, not really, but your spine's doing something. And all the while, have you noticed if your right sits bone or your left sits bone's pressing more into the chair? If you've got a lot of cushioning on your chair, you won't feel that so clearly. But if your chair is fairly firm or a stool, you'll really feel it. That question's more of a short foreshadowing for something we'll do next. But now I invite you to pause. Where's the middle? Where are you neither forward nor backward? Yeah, that's a better chair, Anina. That's great. Good. And now, how do you get up from where you are? What are you going to change? Where are you going to put your feet? There's no right way to get up. There's just your way to get up. Try getting up. Feel the effort. Take a little walk around, and then I invite you to rest on your back if you need to rest on your back. We're going to take a pause now. And rest on your back, rest in the back of the chair, rest wherever you like. But when you rest, I'm going to talk a little bit about this lesson today and why did I choose putting you in a chair when some of you are like, I can't wait for Feldenkrais when I roll on my back or I do. You know, Feldenkrais is about function, actions, and life. And life happens in so many positions. Of course, we lie down a lot in Feldenkrais lessons because we want to let go of all that work that our back is doing in holding us up through our daily life. But it's true that you could be lying on your side, on your front, you could be on hands and knees, you could be on your elbows. In fact, I think the first class we did, you were on your hands and knees and on your elbows. But sitting is something we're all forced to do a lot these days. And so to have a little more clarity, a little way to play with sitting to make it more comfortable. You can only make it more comfortable by exploring. And when you get fixated doing something in front of a screen or playing your piano or, I don't know, writing, reading, if you're just sitting, it's a good reminder that you have choices and you can do different things to make it more comfortable. So now, please bend your knees if you're lying on your back, and we're going to return to sitting. And notice how you transition. Do you go to the same side you went to? Come up slowly. And return to your chair. And when you have arrived, please bring your, well, it depends which hand you raise more easily. Is it your right hand or your left hand? This time, instead of putting your hand on top of your head, I want you to put your hand on your forehead. Like your palm is resting on your forehead. And now with that hand, with that arm, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing you did before, looking up and looking down, allowing your whole spine to become a part of the movement. So you let yourself look down at the ground, and then you let yourself look up at the sky or the ceiling. And notice, how does having your hand on your forehead change the movements of your spine? It's one hand, so maybe it changes the weight on your pelvis too. How do you get tall and use your whole back? How are you breathing as you do that? Which side of your pelvis is more weighted, the side where your hand is or the other side? And then pause, bring that hand down. Take an easy breath, rest if you need, but now switch to the other hand. And feel already, bringing the other arm up, it's already a different proposition. Did the weight shift on your pelvis or did you stay on the same side? And now begin looking up and down, using your hand to support the movement of your head. And of course, the engagement of your back is different when you use your hand. So you're looking up and you're looking down, and let your whole back be part of the movement. So is any movement, some of you are not moving at all in your pelvis, and some of you are moving like the whole movement starts in your pelvis. It's okay. It's all whatever it is. There's no right way to do it. But the more of you involve, the easier the movement will become. Is it easier to go back or easier to go forward and up? Back and down or forward and up? Good. And rest that arm. Notice how you're sitting for a moment. And now again, put your two hands on top of your head. And if I see you yawning, that's fantastic. I'm delighted when I see people yawning in my class. It means they're getting more and more relaxed, even if you're sitting. Now, get tall. How do you get tall? Did anything change in your ability to get tall with your hands on your head? Don't struggle with yourself and don't go to 100%. Do less than 100%. It's always much easier to discover new possibilities when you do a little less than when you do full out. When you do full out, you're fully committed. It's not easy to change something. Okay, bring your hands down. Rest your hands on your thighs. Actually, rest again. If you're sitting in a chair, this is a pause, not a big rest. So sit back in your chair if you're sitting in the chair. And if you don't have a back, you can get up, walk around. I mean, if you prefer to get up and walk around as a little break, that can be possible too. Notice as you're in your rest moment where your mind is. Feldenkrais work is about thinking, sensing, feeling through the acting, through the doing. So maybe your emotional state might be worth tracking. Who knows what's changing for you? And now return to the active sitting position. So you come forward, come back to your stool or your chair. And now pay attention in particular to the right and the left side of your pelvis, the right sits bone, the left sits bone. Is it possible that one side, maybe it'll change, or maybe it's already changed, but one side is probably a little more into the seat. So to find out which one is a little more grounded, try lifting one side of your pelvis up a little bit, as if you sat on your program in the theater and you wanted to lift that buttock to take it out. Like just enough to take out a sheet of paper and put it down. Keep doing the one side and notice what you do with your head in space. Where does your head go in space when you lift one side of your pelvis? Does it go to the opposite side? Does it stay in the middle? Does it go to the same side that you're lifting? And then bring that side back down. By the way, you would have been getting tall on the side that wasn't lifting when you did that. Possibly. Now try lifting the side that was on the chair. See how it's different. I am 100% it's different for everyone. Where does your head go in space? What do you do with your breathing when you lift this other side? Is it harder to lift this side? Or is it easier? Do you shift your head way off to the side to lift this side? Like some of you are doing. So those that feel their head is shifting way right and left, try keeping your head in the middle and see if you can lift one side and then the other. You'll find one side's really easy and the other side's not so easy. So if you keep your head in the middle, okay, so here's an image. Imagine a basketball ring around your head. That'll help you sense where your head is in space. So if you keep your head inside that ring, which side can you lift more easily, the right or the left? Don't work hard in your shoulders. Don't do anything unnecessary. Just find out which side is it easier to lift. The side that's easier to lift, that's probably the leg that you pick up when you go upstairs, or probably the leg you use when you step off the curb, because we all have a habit around those things. All right, leave that idea, let it go. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now pay attention to your feet. Where are your feet relative to your knees? So you could look down, but you can feel them. Look, if you don't look at your feet, I mean, look, don't look. That's a funny thing to say to you. Actually, one foot is probably closer to you than the other. Feel it. Don't look down, just feel it. I can see it with the feet that I can see. I can tell some people, just even a little, like even a half an inch, a centimeter, you can feel that. Now, where are your knees relative to your feet? Some people have their knees a little closer together. Some people have their knees further apart than their feet. You can keep your feet where they are and just move your knees together a little bit. And you'll feel the weight goes to the inside edges of your feet. And now come back. And now take your knees a little to the outside and you'll feel the weight goes to the outside edges of your feet. And one leg maybe moves better than the other. So come back to neutral and just move one knee by itself. Which knee are you moving, the right or the left? Just a little bit. just to feel the weight go to the inside edge of your foot and the outside edge of your foot. Now, some of us have had injuries which make us really want to stay on one side of our foot. And now pause with that leg and try the other leg. Does it move as smoothly, that knee? Or is it a little more sluggish? The sluggishness is just well, there could be changes in the joints, but often it's just the tension in the muscles around the leg, around the hip. All right, now find the middle point. Where is your knee directly over your foot? You find that place, rest in that neutral place, and now with your hand or with the leg itself, you can do it without the hand, you can do it just with the leg. Can you press into one leg a little bit so that that foot gets, it's like if it was a rubber stamp, it would be making a pressure onto the floor as if you were imprinting with that foot on the ground, and let it go. I hope you're not working so hard you have to hold your breath. Just press a little with one foot and feel how the rest of you accommodates for that. What happens to the other foot? What happens in your pelvis? You'll certainly feel the muscles in that leg activate, and then let that go, and then try the other leg. Is it as intelligent? Is it as able to press? Or does one foot press better than the other? What do you do with the rest of yourself? Are you breathing easily? Are you clenching somewhere that you don't need to? How about you make it really fun? Can you go quickly from one leg to the other and feel the movement go all the way through you, all the way up into your shoulders? Could you make it fun? Press and press, or press, 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 whatever pace works for you. Feel how your pelvis moves. Feel if your shoulders move. Can you breathe? Is your belly tight? Can it be easy? All right. Leave it. Find out how it is to raise your hands and put them on your head. Did it get easier? Can you get tall? How's getting tall now? What do you do with your feet when you get tall? Do you press them into the ground? Or do you lift them from the ground? What happens if you lift your feet from the ground? Can you get tall? Or do you roll back? What do you do? All right, leave it. Please get up, take a little walk, or rest on your back. Do whatever you actually, maybe good. Everyone take a little walk. Fun things to do in a chair. Or maybe not so much fun, but the minutiae of what's possible in a chair. How's your walking going? How are your feet meeting the floor? All right, please return to your chair, stool. I'll tell you, the very first lesson I taught virtually online like this back in March for the Wednesday group was sitting in a chair. So now my Monday group are getting chair exploration, chair play, chair fun. So I'm really happy to bring this to you. So now notice how you're sitting. How easy is it to breathe? Where are your eyes relative to the horizon? And now from here, without going as far as you can go, just get curious about what's behind you. Imagine you wanted to look behind you, or someone called your name. Notice as you begin to turn your eyes and your shoulders, which way are you going, to the left or to the right? And stick with the first side you do. Notice what you do with your pelvis. And please don't go as far as you can, and don't change sides yet. Come back and do it again. Try to use more of yourself. What do your feet do? If you want to look behind you, what do you do? That's great. And notice where you see easily right now. The next time you look behind you, see where do you see easily. Don't force it. Just go where you're easy. Don't try to do a big old twist. Just do what's easy and come back. All right, reset yourself. You can oscillate a little, right, left, roll forward, back. And now you're going to go to the other side, but please don't expect it to be the same. It's not going to be the same. Your eyes don't work the same. Your shoulders, your pelvis, your legs, there's nothing symmetrical about how we do things structurally. How is it to turn to the second side? What do you do with yourself? What's different? What's one thing that you feel is different about this side? All right, good enough. Remember where you see on the second side. Just look in your room and see, what do you see easily on the second side? And what did you see easily on the first side? Just because if we're going to make some changes, we want to see where we were to begin with. Okay, now, please organize yourself so that you can bring your right arm forward so that your elbow gets to rest on your knee. Your right elbow is going to come down to your knee. There you go. And find out, yeah, your hand's just hanging in space. Your elbow is on your knee. So wait, come back up. I got to re-describe this. So I made a mistake. I apologize. I don't really mean your elbow because it's really pointy. You don't want to stick your elbow into your thigh. You want to use the forearm, like just past the elbow in the air. I mean, some of you did that anyway, but some of you really just put your elbow on your knee, which isn't going to be comfortable. So just slide forward a little bit and bring that elbow down. There you go. The other hand stays standing. That's it. Great. There you go. Get comfortable there. Can you be comfortable there? Where would you put your head? You don't have to see me. Where would you put your head? Allow the weight of that right elbow to go through your leg to your foot. How much weight does the right foot bear now? And where are you looking? And now come back up. Good. Some of you kept looking forward, so that's really interesting. Let's all do it that way. So keep looking forward. Keep looking forward in the room and come down onto your elbow. So some people all did it like that. What does your neck have to do in your chest when you do it like that? And then come back up. And now let your face be carried by the arm coming forward so that you end up looking more at the ground. And you let the crown of your head be the most forward place. Is that more comfortable? Now you can turn your head right and left easily there. But your other hand, your left hand is still on the hand. Doris, on your hand. Your left hand is on your knee, on your left knee. Your left hand is on your left knee. That's it. Yeah, like that. Just like that. Okay, come back. Now, how's it? Now, notice how you're sitting. Did that movement make you a little asymmetric? Feel the right side of you and the left side of you. And now you're going to try this with your left elbow. So slide forward, bring your left elbow down, your left elbow. Anina, you're on your elbow. You want to be on your forearm, Don't put your head in your hand. That's it. Just rest. And your palm is facing the floor or wherever. There you go. And your right hand is on your right knee. Your right hand's on your right knee. There you go. And now where are you looking? Are you easy with your head? Are you breathing easily? Some people have themselves so well lined up. I want you to now bring your left elbow a little to the left and your left hand a little to the right. So that's it. Is that easier? Is it more comfortable? Yeah, okay. Now, how much pressure is going through your left lower leg to your left foot? And where are you looking? Some of you are looking forward. There's nothing to see. Let your head go. Let your neck go. Vicky, let your head go. That's it. There you go. And come back up. All right. Set a minute. So in the olden days, when we didn't have cars and people rode around in horses and buggies, when there were reins that people held the horse with, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you're riding a horse and buggy. And now come down onto both elbows and imagine your hands are free to hold the reins. And your head is easy. Don't look forward. You're not looking at the horses, you're looking at the ground. There you go. Are your hands easily resting Are your fingertips dangling to the floor? Is there weight going through your hands, your elbows into your knees? If you need to separate your knees a little, you can do that. So now you're all the way down there. So stay in that position. And can you begin to very slowly roll your pelvis a little backward and a little forward from that place? It won't be as big a movement because you're rolled forward now. And feel how that movement travels through you all the way to your head, whether you're going forward or whether you're rolling backward. And notice what you're doing with your breath. Let yourself roll forward and back on your pelvis. So your back is rounding when you go backwards, and your back is arching a little as you roll forward. It's not a big arch, it's just a little bit of an arch. And notice what your head does. Can your head, when you roll back, look down at the floor? And when you roll forward, can your head, almost like a turtle coming out of its shell, your head lengthens and your neck lengthens and your head goes a little away and you look a little forward. All right, please come up to sitting. Leave it, just sit up. Breathe easily. Maybe that position was restrictive to your breath. Just feel how you're sitting now. And before we take a rest, just raise your hands and put them on your head. Just feel how that is for you. Are your hands getting lighter or heavier? Can you get taller and then get shorter? And then let go with your hands? And then organize your legs so that you can get up to stand and feel how it is to come to stand. And feel, before you take a walk, just how you are standing. How have these movements changed the way you stand? And then shift your weight and then go for a little walk. And then take a complete rest, meaning rest on your back, or if you want to rest back in the chair, you could do that as well. Resting is really important. All of us don't rest enough. So rest for a minute, rest on your back, rest in the chair, rest on the floor. Just let it all go. Lena, come rest on your back. Everybody's resting on their back, so I'm going to invite you to rest as well. And as you rest on your back, feel your breath, feel your contact with the floor and how it might have changed from what you felt at the beginning. There's no hurry. There's no place you need to be. You just have to be with yourself and the floor, gravity being your friend, letting you let go of extra work that might have been going on in these explorations. Sense if the movement of air in and out of yourself feels a little bit easier. Notice your thoughts, where they're going, what you're thinking, your mood, if it's changing. And then slowly bring up one leg to stand. Notice which leg you lifted first and bring the other up. And just play with that idea of walking while you're on your back and just feel, how does one foot support you to lift the other? And maybe there's a change in the weight of your legs already. And then I invite you to gently roll to your side and return to sitting. But take your time, don't rush. Allow your breath to come and go easily as you transition from lying to sitting, and then from sitting up to sitting in your chair, taking your time. While some of you have so much sun, I'm jealous wherever you are. It's really dark here where I am. Good. and sit in your chair. Again, in the active sitting position. Notice what it is you notice about your sitting now. Where are your feet? The pressure in the soles of your feet, the right one, the left one, the placement of your knees above your feet, the pressure on your sits bones, right side, left side. And now simply take your right shoulder forward and your left shoulder back a little bit, just a little. You can move your hands or not and come back. And now move your left shoulder forward and your right shoulder back. So our shoulders are relatively free. We call it the shoulder girdle, but it's really not a girdle. It's not a complete ring of bones. You can move your shoulders. You can move them both up and let them both go down. When we're anxious, we raise them, but now we're not anxious, hopefully, and you're just resting. So when you're ready, please return to that position where you're as if you're holding the reins, and you come forward onto your elbows. Your hands are a little closer, your elbows are a little wider. If you need to adjust where your feet are, you do that. Just get yourself comfortable, let your hands hang. Yeah, maybe with your palms toward the floor. That might make your hands rest and hang more. Good. Now from that place, you can do whatever you need without holding tension in your neck. But can you bring slowly now the right shoulder a little bit forward? Just let it slide a little forward, whatever that means. Let your head adjust to that. Your left can do what it wants and come back. And do it again with the right forward and just feel what happens on your pelvis, on the weight on your sits bones and your feet. And breathe fully when you get all the way to the right that you want to go. I mean, your head's going to the left, whereas your right shoulder's coming forward, and return. And now try that with the left shoulder. Just slowly, see if it glides as well. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't, just don't go far, just go a little ways. And feel as your head turns a little to the right with your left shoulder forward, what happens to your ribs, what happens to the weight on your pelvis and your feet? What does your spine do when you move your shoulder like that? And then come back. And now just go back and forth, one side and then the other. Bring one shoulder forward, maybe think of the other one going back a little bit as you do that. And then slowly switch and feel how this movement initiated by your shoulders is transmitted throughout your spine, your ribs, your head, your feet, your pelvis. And then find the middle between these excursions, right and left. Find the middle and stay in the middle with your elbows on your knees. And now lower your head, let it sink towards the floor, and then lift your head, like lift the back of your head or the top of your head away from your elbows. And just go back and forth like that. Let yourself really sink between your shoulder blades. Let your chest hang forward a little bit. And then you push a little into your elbows, or not your elbows, just the top of your forearms. It's not really your elbows. And you get really tall as you can. And then you come back down. Find the in-between, not too high, not too low. Where would you go to be in between? Okay, you let your head be easy. And now in that place, can you lift one side of your pelvis? That's it. And then put it down. Don't lift your heel, just your pelvis. And then lift the other side of your pelvis. So you shift your pelvis right and left. Now, if you want to add turning your head a little bit when you do that, you can do that. Maybe one ear gets closer to one shoulder as you lift that side of the pelvis. And then you slowly let it down. And then you lift the other side and you let that side. You can let your head look over as if you're going to look over the shoulder maybe a little bit. And you come back. Can you go a little more quickly from one side to the other without rushing? Just find where it's easy. That's it. You can add looking over your shoulder if you want. You can swing your head a little bit like a pendulum. Or everything done easily, lightly, gently. Good. And then come to the middle, make the movement smaller and smaller until you're in the middle. And now before we get up, just roll your pelvis back a little bit and then roll it forward a little bit, rolling over the sits bones. That's it. You'll find it. Rolling forward, rolling back. The next time you're rolling forward, stay forward, and then lift your head and come up off your elbows and come back to sitting. So we used extension. We rolled up and sit, and just sit for a minute. Feel your breath, feel your back. Notice where your horizon is. Nice, easy breath. And then take a little rest in walking. Or if you want to rest in your chair, rest in your chair. But take a moment to let all that go. Walk, feel how you're standing, feel how you're moving through space. Notice anything about your walking that might be interesting, different. And then when you're ready, you return to the chair. Notice without my instruction where you are sitting now. Where is your head relative to your chest, relative to your pelvis? Remember the idea we described at the beginning of the spheres, your head, your chest, your pelvis. How well are they organized? I mean, we use the word posture, but posture is really for statues. It's to pose. We're not really posing. You're alive. You're a moving structure. You're not really posing. You're just there, breathing. So let's just do a little more. Well, actually, let's explore. Oh, good. Yawning. Love the yawns. Let them come. They're great. That means your parasympathetic nervous system is kicking in. You're getting into restful mode. It's great. So while you're sitting now, let's go back to the idea of looking around. Would you try just turning to one side, look with your eyes, turn, see where you're seeing now. Let all of yourself be a part of the turning and feel what happens in your sits bones when you turn. Do you shift to one side? Do you shift away from the side that you're turning to, or do you shift toward the side you're turning to? There's many choices. Just notice what you do. Maybe you just stay on one sits bone, whether you turn right or left. It's okay. Let your hands move. Let everything be a part of the action. Lightly, easily, looking right and left. Has it changed? Has your ability to look right and left altered at all? All right, come back to the middle. Now, with your gaze looking forward, I want you to map in your mind's eye your right ear and your right shoulder. Where are they in space? And now map your left ear and left shoulder. They're on either side, like your ears are either side and your shoulders are on either side. So now, if you take your right ear toward your right shoulder, feel what do you do in your pelvis when you do that? Does anything happen all the way down to your pelvis? Does the weight go to the right side or the left side? And then come back. It's kind of like you're not leaning to the side because now your ear's getting close. It's like you're making a banana shape. You're making a kind of a bend in your spine. Try the other side. Try your left ear to your left shoulder. One side's going to be so much easier than the other for most of us. And what do you do with your pelvis? One side might be really clear and one side not so clear. Each of us are unique in that sense. All right, so that's the movement. We're going to call this bending the head to the side, okay? But we're going to do it in a different position. So now sit up again. And now I want you to come down onto your forearms again. I won't say elbows anymore. I've learned that mistake. So you're on your forearms. Your hands are closer together than your elbows. Your elbows are wide. Be easy. Now, what's going to happen in this place as you begin to take, and first maybe lower your head and lift your head. Find the middle place. Don't be too high, don't be too low. There's no perfect place. You can always change it. Okay, but just no tension in your neck, as little as you can have, even though you have to hold your head up and it's not easy. And now when you find your neutral, From there, please take your right ear towards your right shoulder. You keep your face oriented where it is. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You just lift. Maybe you lift the buttock on that side a little bit, and then you come back. Do that again, and feel what you do with your foot on that side, on the right side. As your right ear comes to your right shoulder, can you press into your right foot and lift your right buttock a little bit? You'll put a little bit more weight into your right forearm, and then let it go. I hope that made sense. And now try the other side. You lower your left ear towards your left shoulder. And of course, the right ear moves away from the right shoulder. And then you feel the pressure into your left foot. You press into that left foot to lift your left buttock a little. And your left elbow, left forearm is going to press into your left thigh a little bit. The whole left side gets short as the right side gets long. And then you let it go. Come back slowly to the middle. Can you gradually do this from one side to the other? Initiate from the crown of your head, tilting over to the side that brings your ear toward the shoulder. You don't have to lift your shoulder. Your shoulder can stay easy, but you do lift your buttock on that side. That's it. And you breathe fully, and then you come back. Then you try the other side again, your left ear to the left shoulder. You find your pace, but see if you can connect everything from your ribs to your foot, to your crown of the head, to your ear, at your own height. Maybe alter the height of your head. Maybe you let your head hang a little bit more as you do it. Or maybe you lift your head a little bit so it's more in line with the spine. Either way, whatever you're doing, maybe that's enough. Come up, come up, come up, come up. Leave it, leave it. Just sit up for a moment. My gosh, time flies. I can't believe it's already almost time, but I'd like you to sense how you're sitting now. Raise your arms. Feel how easy it is to lift your arms now. Can you put them on top of your head and get tall? Where are you moving now? Notice your breastbone. Notice all of yourself getting tall. Where are you breathing? And then let your hands come down. And now just once, look right and look left and see how it may not be that you go further, but it might be just a different sensation. And now, lovely. And now slowly, slowly come up to standing. Feel how you're standing on your 2 feet. Maybe you'd like to look right and left while you're standing and see how it is to see the space around you. And notice if your eyes are a little more on horizon and where your head is relative to your chest and your pelvis. And then take a little brief walk. And then I invite you to come and rest on your back to complete the lesson today, resting on your back. But just notice how it is you're moving through space as you walk in your own space. And when you've completed a little bit of an excursion, come and rest on your back completely. And when you arrive, notice, how is it that you arrive on your back today? I've been quite remiss in not asking you to take off your glasses, some of you. I'm sitting here with glasses on so I can see you, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you don't have to take them at this point, but just be free. Just feel yourself supported by the ground on your back. Feel where you've changed. Feel what the pressure between your right shoulder, left shoulder, the placement of your head, the length of your spine, the movements of your breathing. Where have you felt something has shifted from what you felt at the beginning of the lesson? How are you different now after this work of exploring sitting in different ways? And now slowly bend your legs and stand your feet. Notice which leg you bring up first. Is it the same leg? It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to change, but notice when your legs come to stand, how your back meets the floor. And then simply lift one foot and the other and see if the weight of your feet feels a little different, and how you use one foot to help the other foot. And now be daring. If you're willing and if you feel you could, maybe you'll tilt your legs to the side you didn't go to and see if you can get up in your non-habitual way from the floor. Only if you feel that's available. If it's not, just go the way you know that's easy. Don't do anything to disturb your comfort right now. And then slowly come back up and sit on your chair if you wish, or just stand. And I will stay for as long as any of you want to chat. But with that, I will stop the recording, and then we'll have a chance to mingle and chat if you want to. But if you want to just stay with yourself and your experience of yourself, you're welcome to just check out and go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, night, whatever time zone you happen to be in.